Hey folks, I've been on a little bit of a vacation lately, and today I find myself on the shores of the beautiful Mississippi River here in Muscatine, Iowa. Just left my favorite brewery, which is Contrary Brewing, and had a little interesting encounter with a legal question here. So I ordered a Kolsch Beer. This is something that they've just introduced here as their newest brew. And my wife asked me what kind of beer is a Kolsch, and I said, well, I have to look up the style. I've had it before, but I don't know much about it. What I did know is that they're a style that's typically brewed in Cologne, Germany. In German, that's known as Köln, and that's where the name Kolsch comes from. And I read that it was a top-fermented ale style that's finished with a bottom-fermented style of lagering. And I thought that's interesting. Why would you start it one way and do the other? Well, as it turns out, the Cologne area was famous for its ales, top fermented ales, and around 1600, this new bottom fermented cold finish style began to come in, and it threatened the commercial supremacy of the top fermented styles. And so they began changing the law. And this is always an interesting question. You know, does society create laws, or do laws just sort of reflect society and what's already there? And in this case, they made multiple attempts at legislation that said that you could not do a bottom fermented lager style, and they made brewers swear an oath to that effect. Eventually, brewers began to get around this by using a top fermented ale yeast, but then finishing it with the bottom fermented process, so making kind of a hybrid style. And then by 1750, that was kind of in vogue, and after that, that style has become very popular and now is sold all across the world. So it's certainly not the earliest example of somebody finding a legal loophole, but it's one of the more interesting examples I've seen recently. So as with any situation where you're drinking beer, the other legal advice I'll give you is to have a driver to take you home, and mine is waiting over here. So hope to see you next week, another week in Law and Ethics.